And we're live.
Yeah, you know what? I went back and I listened to the last one. You can't hear the bell. You can't hear.
You can't hear much of it, can you?
No, no. I was like, oh well, that was fucking useless.
I know. But
That shit was funny though. I
I
was
think
like,
it's Zoom.
I was cracking up though. I was cracking up
Why?
just because it was funny because I thought it was gonna work.
Oh, and it still
And
didn't.
yeah, and it was zero sound to it. I'm like, well, that was like, uh,
The other one
Erick.
might have been better, to be honest.
Yeah, just because it's funny. I mean, all right. So what are we? Episode
Episode 18,
18.
UFC 312 recap.
Like.
Subscribe.
Talk your ish in the comments.
That's right.
Let us know your thoughts. Who's next for Sean Strickland? But what's the first topic we want to roll into?
The first topic we will roll into. Okay, so let's just get Bryce Mitchell out of the way.
Okay.
Okay. Because, I watched the podcast. You watched about 10 minutes of it. What were your initial thoughts about it? For those that don't know, it got deleted, right? After it got uploaded, about like 5 or 6 hours after it got uploaded, it's been deleted. Rampage issued like an 18-minute fucking video on Twitter,
Yeah.
kind of addressing it because he's
You
been
know,
getting bashed. So let me know your thoughts because,
well, no. What Rampage said was that he wanted to delete it because of all the hate comments in the chat
yeah, yeah,
and I was like, well, that comes with the territory though, bro. Like it is what it is.
it is what it is, in my opinion.
Yeah, that just comes with the territory. Like you got to expect that. Roll out the next episode, and then it just becomes noise.
Mm-hmm.
Like it shouldn't even matter. They probably have so much content that they could just keep releasing that they would just be like whatever at that point. And I thought that, how what did they expect him to say?
Yeah, you can't force somebody to change their opinion just because they're on your podcast, right? Like, obviously, even with the statement Bryce said initially, that wasn't like a super like apologetic statement. It's crossing off your T's, being like, look, I'm sorry I kind of said this publicly, right? But like, I'm not going to retract my statements, but I apologize for offending people. I shouldn't have said this publicly, But like, they kind of wanted him to change his tune, and I don't think you can force somebody into that just because they're on your podcast.
Yeah,
Just don't have them on. If you don't want to hear that other side and take that risk, then don't have him on. But you kind of pinned him in a corner to only talk on one side of it.
and here's the other thing too. It's like typically when you do a podcast, the person's going to show up like 30 minutes, prior to the recording. Everybody kind of sees each other, meets, hey, we're about to, we're going to do this. You
Mm-hmm.
kind of go over the game plan of what the recording is going to be. Here's some questions we're going to ask, and then we'll kind of get into it. Bryce has to know that they were going to ask. They asked, right?
Yeah. As far as like addressing the controversy,
Right.
yeah, the Rampage
He
kicked it
didn't,
off.
yeah, he didn't just come out like, oh, I need to get this off my chest and explain myself.
No, Rampage kind of said like, "What the fuck were you thinking?"
Right. And so then, I didn't feel like he didn't double down. He didn't do a Sean Strickland.
No, I think he tried to like toe the line. He tried to
Yeah.
like not be super apologetic, but he was just trying to say like, "Look, I'm not like a Hitler supporter. Like it was, wrongly said and things of this nature."
That's what I mean. He didn't double down. He
No,
could
yeah.
have he could have said like, "No, you know what? No, yeah, I think he was a good guy." But he could have doubled down and fucking just kept running with it, but he didn't go that route. So that's why I was more like, well, either you whatever Bear took it super super offensive.
Well, because Bear, like, you know how I just said that Bryce basically didn't want to like be super apologetic. He just kind of like said like, "Look, let's just kind of move past this. I'm willing to acknowledge fault here." But that wasn't enough for Bear, right? That wasn't enough. And Bear wanted him to be like super like, retracting his statements, apologetic, and that's what I'm saying. That's where things got weird, right? So go on.
Yeah, and I think too, like when you heard Rampage kind of speak out on it, Rampage kind of gave me a little bit more insight who he is. He is a playful guy.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't take things so seriously, whereas Bear takes them more literal and serious to the heart. But Rampage just kind of jokes around with shit like, whatever, dog. You know what I mean? Like, even Rampage said was very telling. Bro, you know how much stuff I've been through, racist shit? I was raised in the South.
Mm-hmm.
Rampage knows what racism looks like up front, close, and personal. I bet growing up in the South, bro, he had to deal with a lot of shit.
Of
But he
course.
let it roll off his back, and he kept growing as a person, and he started realizing it's a big world out there. Not everybody, feels this way or acts this way.
Right.
So I think that they should have kept it up.
I think they should have kept it up.
It was nothing really out of pocket. That's all I mean. Now the comments may have like gotten to Bear, and that's why. But I don't that like this isn't gonna be the first time you're gonna have to deal with people in the comments.
No.
Something else is gonna come up.
And kind of to your point, right? It's like, what do you expect, right? Like, you're having this guy on controversial at this time. I know that like he meant to have Bryce on earlier, in time,
Yeah.
right? But you're still choosing to have him on really soon after this controversy. You know
Right.
what you're getting yourself into. Why be
Right.
surprised when it happens? You thought he was
Right.
going to get good comments. He was going to get those hate comments, no matter what way it went, because
Yeah.
of how soon it's happened. So for you to be like, that's the reason why, and you didn't realize that was going to happen ahead of time, is kind of like a miss. And regardless, I think they should have kept it up. It is what it is. You know what I mean? You're not going to save Bryce. Everything Bryce posts right now, those same comments that were on that video, he's getting right now. Any Instagram post he makes.
Yeah.
They're going to find him regardless.
And the only other thing I could think of is behind the scene. I don't know what Bear's nationality is.
They're saying he's not Jewish. Because
Yeah,
obviously that's obvious. They're calling him out for that.
It looks like a white dude to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know he's not Mexican. I know he's not black.
He said
I know
he's Christian.
All right. Well, a lot of people are Christian. So people behind the scenes that help fund the podcast, I don't know what their views are. I don't know what their background is. So there could be other layers to this that we don't know.
Well, Rampage said on that video that Bear pays for everything out of pocket. And Bear was born rich. His family owns like a paintball field.
Well, but I mean, he could still have people funding it though, regardless. He paying out of pocket. He still could have silent partners, right? He could,
but Rampage did say that Bear pays for the flights and Bear pays for all this stuff out of pocket.
And listen to this, and he could be trying to line up investors. The podcast is getting to a point where people are looking at it.
I could understand that.
He could be having agreements that like, hey, dude, like this is not a good look for us. Can you take that down? Who knows? Like I said, I'm just speculating. I don't know. I really don't know. So, I mean, but it is down.
Yeah, so I mean, that is a fair point as far as like for his business. I was thinking that as far as like what Bryce says could be a representation. So that's why he was taking it seriously. And I can understand that on Bear's perspective. As far as like getting backlash, I do think that Bear, to some degree, shouldn't be surprised when you get that backlash because you weren't fair to Bryce. You came in there with a narrative to some degree that you wanted to push. And that's fine, but accept what happens when you do that.
They've had worse things happen on the podcast where people were about to fight.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's worse than like this whole Jewish controversy,
Okay, maybe the circumstance was worse. But I mean, like what Kevin Holland said was hella out of pocket.
Well, and they capitalized on that. So
Did.
Kevin Holland probably got some like weird hatred in the comments, and they were probably fine with that.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of because it was political. And you can understand that. That's what I'm trying to say too, though. I understand that on Bear's end, but Bear, just like take it for what it is. Like this is my thing too, right? Sometimes with podcasters, they always want to be the good guy. This is my thing with Ariel. He always wants to be the good guy. He always wants to like be innocent and be towing this line. And I think Bear is kind of similar. Bear wants to be this good guy. Even in the podcast, he's saying like positivity. I don't want the negativity. And I respect that. But I'm just saying in this circumstance too, Bear wants to be the good guy. And when you always want to be on that, you're taking a risk because he's saying like, you shouldn't be saying this stuff. You're wrong for saying it. And there's a lot of people who support Bryce, right? So that's the people who are now coming at Bear. But there's also people coming at Bear because you're the podcaster. Just give him a platform to say something. But again, you're talking about Bryce Mitchell.
Right. Right.
So I can understand that. It's one of those things, you know. I don't think Bear handled it right to the fullest extent, but I can't blame him. That's a tough one to put yourself into.
And then, like I was telling you too before we started recording, he was going behind the scenes to asking accounts, can they take it down? Like, can they take down the actual episode? And he could give people strikes. Honestly, he could go and give people YouTube strikes because it's content that was owned by them.
Mm-hmm.
What he did, I don't know what the results were with that. But for whatever reason, bro,
He's not happy with that. Yeah.
Yeah, he seriously wanted it. And it seems so like it was nothing. Like that's what I expected. Okay, what's next? Like I didn't seem what word do I want to use? Like offended.
So
I wasn't more offended than what he said before.
Yeah, and so to what I'm kind of saying, to what you're kind of saying, do you think that he took it down because of stuff about that podcast regarding him to some degree, the backlash he might be getting, and they're kind of saying like the Bryce Mitchell thing as like a cover up to the real reason?
There has to be a cover up here because what they're putting out there, the comments just doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're in the entertainment industry. Like it's going to come with the territory. But that's an easy way to just be like, oh, you know, if you do say something, just say we took it down because of the comments. It has to be like a cover up, I guess you could say.
I feel like it might be like that's the excuse, but the real reason could easily be that Bear doesn't like how he came off in that and how the fans are responding to him.
But my thing too is you could have edited it any way you wanted it to. You could have just took that whole piece out.
But it's like you expressed how you feel, Bear. So stand on it. That's my thing. Stand on it. Whether people agree with you or not, right? Stand on it. That's how you felt. Just because you get this public narrative that people don't agree with you, now you're like, uh-oh. And this is all a speculation, right?
Yeah.
Their excuse could be the real reason. But to our speculation, I feel like stand on your shit. If you did take it down because you don't like how people are responding to how you truly felt about something, I think that's a little bit weak.
Well, what's crazy to me is, bro, like they literally probably they have to have content they're sitting on. They have to. They just recorded so much content that they could have just rolled out another podcast and moved right past it.
But they rushed this one out too. I bet you this was recently recorded, right? It had to be recently recorded. And there's other ones that have been previously recorded that didn't go out first.
And you know what? And I don't remember what I said last time about Bryce Mitchell, but I'll say it again. And I think this is why Rampage felt the same way. After watching it and seeing his reaction, Rampage is like, bro, this dude's an idiot. He don't know no better. That's where he grew up at.
Mm-hmm. He
has those feelings because all the other fools in that fucking part of the country and shit fucking have some type of racism bone in them, and they just don't think the same. So like whatever, bro. Like it's almost like what we said. Oh, I remember what you said. We said it's like when you have that one stupid homie that keeps bringing up conspiracy theories. Like, all right, dog.
Yeah.
Right. That's him.
That's
you know
Bryce.
What I mean? So Rampage is like whatever, bro. Like whatever, dude. Like be dumb over there.
Right. Two other things I wanted to mention about it is that as far as Rampage goes, because we're kind of like picking apart Bear. And I good on Rampage as far as being a friend. He's, I think, putting himself into the narrative. I think nobody's really talking shit on Rampage. Although he is saying he's getting racist comments, and I don't not believe him on that end. But I think, in my personal opinion, Rampage was pretty cool to Bryce. Even though, and he even said, like, I didn't even want to be as harsh as I was, but Bear told me to. So I think Rampage was pretty cool. I kind of respected how Rampage handled it. You're not going to tell this guy how to live his life, but you can actually, do good by having a understandable conversation. You're not going to see eye to eye with Bryce, but if you can make Bryce feel like he's understood by you, he might be more open to now getting feedback from you, right? But when you're getting kind of shunned like Bear was doing, I don't think Bryce is going to get very much feedback. In fact, I watched it, and Bryce started fighting back. Bryce was like, "Oh, you think this? Like, you think that Jesus wasn't real? Like, and you think that, and you think this? Like, this is what I got to tell you, right?" But he didn't come at Rampage that way, and that's because Rampage came at him pretty respectfully and from a standpoint of trying to understand Bryce a little bit and just be nice about it. He's not his dad, he's not his parent, he's like a friend talking to a friend, giving advice. And again, Bear was coming at it from like an elite standpoint, which I didn't really like. The other thing I want to say is that I think I got the vibe. Tell me what you think about this. I got a little bit of a vibe that Bear has been talking shit about this Bryce Mitchell thing behind the scenes, I feel like. I think that was a part of this, in my opinion. Behind the scenes, when this whole thing happened, I think, because, you know, Bear, he's a pretty hyper guy. I think he might have been, like, pacing around his warehouse to some degree, being like, oh, shit, like, you know, Bryce should not be saying that shit. You know what I mean? Because I feel like, I don't know, Bear's a little spracked out on Adderall or something. If that's his God-gifted energy, good for him. But I just feel like he's always around, like, you know, yelling about something. And I feel like when the Bryce situation happened, he was yelling about that. And I think to some degree, when everybody sees you doing that, you're going to do a podcast with this guy, you got to stand on that energy you've been putting out. You know, because Rampage has seen how you've been talking about Bryce to some degree. And I think that's why you got a weird podcast. Because I feel like Bear's been talking shit behind the scenes about Bryce. And so when he had him on his show, he's like, fuck, people know how I feel about Bryce. I can't really shoot him a fair take here. I got to, like, keep that same energy I've been having behind the scenes. Pure speculation, but I always speculate. I got speculation about the next topic, too.
I thought too when he kind of asked him, he was like, "Well, hey, we're not going to talk about that here." Like, hey, he kind of like shut it down. But I was like, no one's really bringing it up. Like, he asked a question, that was it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, what that was my whole thing. Like, he made it go bigger than it was. Like, okay, like
he was so amped up about it.
I was like, all right, bro, like, fine, let's move on. Let's move on. Like, so I don't know. That was kind of funny to me, but I don't know how he is behind the scenes like that, so I can't speak on it either.
No, yeah. Okay, so I guess we could talk about UFC 312 now.
Your boy Sean Strickland.
Sean Strickland. The biggest thing is that Erick Nicksick thing going on, but
didn't you pick Sean Strickland to win, or did I convince you to switch your stance?
We'll have to look back, but I've always thought it was going to be a tough fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that Strickland only employs that like very one-dimensional style, and with the guy who's doing full MMA on you, it's just going to be difficult.
When I was surprised too, I'm surprised DDP didn't try to take him down more. He actually stood in there and was just like, it was like the third, fourth round until he like took him down, and I was just like, and he never really held him down. It wasn't like, you know, how when who was a good takedown? Bilal kind of held Leon down a little bit. Marab kind of held Sean down a little bit, but they were able to still get back up. Sean was able to get back up, but he played his own game to Sean, but I felt like he more dog walked Sean. Like he kept pressing him. He kept pressing him. He did.
He didn't take like one back step, I feel like.
Right. He played his own game and used it against him.
Yeah. And I think, you know, people are giving Sean a lot of shit right now. And I don't think he really deserves
because he talks a lot of shit.
Yeah, he talks a lot of shit.
And before in the press conference and media day, bro, he's so like, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And he good in there.
But what did he say? But see, this is my thing. What did he say?
What didn't he say?
No. What did he say?
I'm going to leave it all on the line. He talked shit about Hamza. He talked shit about
Yeah, but that's not promising that he's going to go in there and kill DDP and like, okay, so. But
he has a lot of antics prior to the fight.
Right.
So then you go in there and then it's lackluster.
But I feel like you guys are saying in a way, I mean, you guys in a way, because I feel like you're on that side. So correct me if I'm wrong. But
yeah,
you know, when you say that, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't really have to do with his performance. That has to do with him bringing up weird things, and then you're saying you can only like what? So if he wins, you guys are cool with it? So, you know what I mean?
At least you're able to back it up.
But he's like, back what up? Talking shit about Kamzat?
Like, all of
they got a beef.
Okay, so like it's like his energy is so high on all these antics, on all these things about how I'm gonna win the fight, how I got a problem with this, how I don't like this, how I don't like that, and then just going down there, and then when you get in there, where and the whole thing is leading up to this one thing. If this was leading up to whatever another analogy you want to do of whatever sport he's supposed to produce and perform in, that's what he does. He's supposed to perform in the ring. And he has a microphone, so he has a chance to perform in the ring. Because if he wasn't in the UFC, he wouldn't have this.
Yeah, and okay, so let's talk about the ring then, because this is the thing too. I feel like, and part of this is Strickland's fault. He's bringing up all these other things, which is mixing this all up. Everybody is in a whatever you want to call it about it. Me,
Right.
I'm not really worried about it. I'm talking about the fight. I feel like if you talk about the fight, Sean went 5 rounds. He broke his nose. Dana White credited him saying that was pretty unreal how he stayed focused, stayed locked in, right? He did not go out there and get knocked out in the first round. I feel like that's what people are making it out to be. And he didn't do that. He didn't go quit. He maybe had a rough night, but Dricus is a very good fighter. He's a very good fighter. And I feel like Dricus shut out Sean with his own skills, right? And Sean just didn't have an answer for it. So, in my opinion, what does that have to do with Sean talking about Khamzat, before the fight? That's my thing. Like it's like
No,
Help me out here.
No, well, no, and you know what? It's interesting too because we were doing the watch party, and in the 5th round, I kind of just relayed what you just said to an extent. Like, hey, he is still fighting though.
Yeah.
He is still in the 5th round. He is bloody. Like he's not giving up. But I think that you're gonna get a lot more criticism with your performance because of all the antics you do leading up. If he were not to have any of those antics and be a little bit more like, and he's going to do him, he's going to be who he is, but I don't know what other, fighter I can, relate to that. Someone that, no, but Kobe's on the other end of the spectrum too. If Kobe gets fucked up, I don't give a fuck either.
Because Kobe did the whole LeBron thing, so he's controversial like that too. But
let's say like Marab. Marab's more fun, he's more easygoing. He's playing, he's making fun of things, but he's very respectful too. And so if that were to happen to Marab, you're gonna have a less more like, man, yeah, what you just said, all the things you just said, you're gonna be able to, in my opinion, boast that a little bit more. But because of all the other shit. And then you're like, hey, you were the one that said, I'm going to leave it all on the line in there. To me, you're a one-trick pony. You're always going to be around the 4 or 5 rankings. You're probably going to become a placeholder. And your microphone's going to get dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. You had an opportunity. You beat one of the best in the game. And now people know how to beat you. It's almost like quarterbacks. Like once you kind of see what they do and you know how to put a better defense around it, you're gonna have better ways to counter them. And now that people know how to know what Sean Strickland really is, and they have more tape on him, it's not exciting anymore.
So everything you just said right there, right? As far as like Strickland and like being a one-trick pony, I feel like all that I can accept. And I can respect, and to some degree, I pretty much agree with. My thing is like, I don't know why Sean gets a lot of like his coach, right?
His coach went in on him.
And this is my thing. I feel like his coach would have not said shit. Like, how do I put this? Again, it's speculation, but I think it's worth saying. I think Erick Nicksick doesn't really stand by Sean with a lot of the stuff he says. And I feel like, to some degree, as his coach, he's feeling like, he's being like representation. He's a co-sign by coaching Sean. But at the same time, this guy still coaches Sean while he's succeeding and all this stuff. But the second Sean loses, he's almost getting like clouded with the rest of the fans, right? As far as like now criticizing Sean so heavily when really, as a fighter, you should be proud of him as a coach to some degree. I know that he lost. And I know that he's a one-trick pony. But as a coach, for your fighter to go out there and break his nose and stay dialed in. Like I said, Dana was proud of Sean. Dana didn't have much negativity to say. And Dana's the one paying Sean. Dana's the one who should be really pissed if Sean didn't perform, right? He's the one who should say that because he paid him that money. But he didn't say that. But I feel like Erick Nicksick is piling on with this narrative because he doesn't really co-sign Sean with the stuff he said. And Sean has been representing him. And things like this, I don't know. It's getting a little bit messy in my opinion, but
yeah, and there's a lot that Sean says. He offends a lot of people, a lot of different races, a lot of different just a lot of different things, right? And I don't know what his coaches opinions are on a lot of the matters that
Right, and
Sean
because he hasn't
brings up.
said it, so I'm assuming.
And I've said this before. A part of me feels like Sean, this is a character. I think maybe down deep, some of it he believes in, but I think he knows if he sells this almost a WWE way, it's gonna get more tickets to be sold, or gonna get more followers, or whatever the case. He knows how to sell that side of him. Now,
And that's the game, though.
I agree that is
That's what
part of
we
the
want
game.
from the biggest names.
And I feel like he to me, and I said this to some, and I may have told you this last time, and I'll reiterate this.
Mm-hmm.
When he had said, "I love misery," and the reasons why, even when he did that post video, I said, "That's the Sean I love.
Yeah.
That's the guy that I wish you could make a bigger platform speaking like that, and using your platform for positivity for kids growing up right now that are lost, that don't have a way, that are looking for someone to look up to."
Mm-hmm.
You could make real change in the community, but instead you decide to go another way. To each his own. Now with his coach, like I said, I don't know what his coach's beliefs are. Now what you just said is interesting because maybe behind the scenes you're like, man, fuck Sean, why would you say something like that?
But he
Look at all
still
these.
backs him as long as he wins. And to me, that's a little spineless. That's a
Well,
little fucking spineless.
here's what I'll add.
If
to
I'm
it.
right.
Here's what I'll add to it. A, that's out of pocket. Don't be going on fucking aerial show fucking talking like that about your fucking guy.
100%.
Anybody in your fucking camp, or if that's the case, don't coach him anymore. Don't have him come in anymore.
That's a private conversation.
That is a private conversation. You keep that in house. That you're fucking airing out dirty laundry. It's like when the podcast we have in here, we have our little fucking skirmishes and shit.
Mm-hmm.
But no one goes back online on Instagram like, oh, so and so just happened, blah blah, airing all our dirty laundry out there. Like,
Right.
come on, people are looking at us now. You're making us look bad and shit.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how Sean Strickland goes back with that.
Clout's a crazy drug. Clout is a crazy thing.
I mean, I just don't know how Sean Strickland and him work together anymore.
I saw the only statement Sean has put out. I feel like he left a comment on the Mac Life's Instagram post, and he tagged Nina, and he said, "I told you not to mention his hairline surgery." But there's always truth in every little joke, right? There's always truth in every little joke. And so if that did happen and Erick was really pissed, I feel like to some degree maybe he's not biting his tongue anymore.
But here's my thing. Like, what Erick said, I felt was true. Like,
But hey,
we're
gonna get into it. We're gonna get into
it.
it.
To say it on Ariel's show on one of the biggest platforms out there, you don't throw your guy under the bus. If you don't want to work with him anymore, then don't work with him anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But you just don't. My only problem was you don't air the dirty laundry. And here's my other thing too. You're the one that was in training camp these past 3 months. You knew what product you guys were going to put out there. You knew what Sean does good. And now if you guys had a different game plan and Sean said, fuck that, right in the first bell of the bank, and I'm going to do it my way. Okay, I can understand. You still don't air that dirty laundry. I don't know if that's the case because I think that's the best Sean you have.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's who he is.
And your fighter is representation of you.
I agree with that too.
So to be going out there saying like it was really uninspiring of Sean, I think he just didn't show up. Is he just fighting for money at this point? I want to train champions. Bro, what champions do you have? Aljamain Sterling fell in your lap. Francis Ngannou was created in France by his coach over there. He came over to America and got better because of the training partners at Extreme. Not because of you, bro. You have never fought a day in your life. Now Erick is going to kind of get a little bit from me because I've been, right, seeing this, being like, why does Erick get so much credit? This guy's not a fighter. He's a head coach at this gym. But to be honest, he was never even the real head coach at the gym. Robert Follis, who is the true head coach, who is also not really a fighter. He's 0-1. He had an 0-1 career. Rest in peace, Erick Follis. Or Robert Follis. This isn't to discredit you. He was the original gym at Extreme Couture. Erick Nicksick is a football player who graduated college and started up MMA as a hobby, right? And so he, decided to basically be Robert Follis's assistant. Robert Follis passed away. He was the head coach of all the fighters at Extreme Couture. So Erick Nicksick stepped up, right? But he got put up there by kind of like in a defaulty position. It's not like Erick is this world-class talent who got scouted, right? And got brought in to help these guys. He kind of started training here. He was the first member at Extreme Couture. Erick Nicksick.
Was?
Erick Nicksick.
Okay.
First signed up person at the gym when it opened up probably 10 plus years ago.
Gotcha.
That's who he is. A guy who's been there by time, who's never fought, who really trained jiu-jitsu, you know, and was a part of this MMA community as well when he graduated college. But let me just put that out there because he's not a fighter. And the way he's talking about Sean, discrediting him after his win, when he fought there and he broke his nose in the 3rd or 4th round and continued fighting, I got more to say. This game isn't about fucking going out there and winning all the time. It's about surviving, you know? And I think Erick, to some degree, is insinuating that Sean should have just thrown caution to the wind. Fuck if I get knocked out. It's about winning. And guess what? It's not only about that. It's about surviving. If you get knocked out, you get killed in real life, you know? And in this game, when you get knocked out, it's hard to come back from, especially as you get older. So for Sean to get knocked out and to risk it all, as far as what Erick is insinuating, it's like, give him the credit as far as like fighting his ass off, breaking his nose, staying locked in, you know, not getting knocked out, not getting finished, going all 5 rounds. These are things that you could highlight, but you're spinning the narrative. Now you're saying, you know, he should have like just thrown caution to the wind. I don't know what he was doing in there. DDP was doing extremely well and threw Sean off his game. It's because DDP is a really good fighter. Just say that, but instead you're making it all Sean's fault. Like it's all Sean's fault Sean lost. It has nothing to do with the fact that DDP is a good fighter. It has nothing to do with the fact that I'm not a real head coach. I don't have any MMA fights. I don't have any advice to give you in the corner because I've never fought in real life. What is he going to tell him? How to slip a jab? What kind of combos to throw? Listen to Erick Nicksick and tell me all the advice that he gives.
How long he's been coaching Sean since the whole time? Or Sean's been training there for 10 years?
No. Sean got made, you know, in California. Sean eventually moved to Vegas, trained at John Wood's gym, which is down the street, had a beef with John Wood, and transferred over to train with Erick Nicksick about 2 fights before the title fight.
Okay, so maybe like 3 or 4 years ago.
He's another guy who fell in Erick Nicksick's lap. And so let me just say this, though, because Erick Nicksick says, okay, so Sean, if you want to fight for money, right, then let me know because I only want to fight champions. Again, Sean fell in your lap, brother. Sean would have been a champion without you. But, you know, I won't necessarily say that because the setting over there really helped out Sean. But from a skill set perspective, this guy gives his guys no skills. He doesn't know how to teach skills.
Yeah, see, I don't know the ins and outs, so I can't really speak on it. But I mean, I'm listening.
0-0 as an MMA fighter.
Okay. I mean, but how many coaches are MMA fighters? If we were to take a percentage of them. 50-50?
There, you know, yeah. It's tough. It's tough out there. And so this is actually a shot, you know, unfortunately, I might be discrediting a lot of guys who have coaches who aren't MMA fighters. But see, if we're being real...
My biggest thing is just, you know, do not air your dirty laundry. You just don't. And B, when he said, you know, I only want to coach champions, oof, that's a fucking hard line to step back from. And to see, and I mean, just if someone said that about me and I had to go see you,
this is why he's spineless, all right? Again, Sean Strickland fell in his lap. If you like, you need to have at least 5 fights with him before the title to even be considered. Okay? Bottom line. Number 2, Aljamain Sterling is another champion of his. Fell in his lap again. These are guys who are moving to Vegas because Vegas is the fight capital. But they were built in their hometowns, California and Long Island for Aljo. The third one that fell in his lap is Francis Ngannou. Where was he really made? Where was he built up? In France. He moved to Vegas because he got signed to the UFC, and Extreme Couture is the big gym with the sparring partners. That's what it is. It's not Erick Nicksick. Erick Nicksick has it fucking twisted if he thinks he's the reason for all this.
Let me ask you this. So where does Sean Strickland go from here?
Well, hang on.
You drinking fucking wine over there?
Electrolytes.
Oh, okay. I thought that was like county wine.
Let me say this. Erick Nicksick.
God, I wish you had like a Jerry Springer show. And guess who we have today?
I'm about to forget, but I have all my points written down. Okay, here it is. Erick Nicksick wants to have a fighter who wants to be a champion, who doesn't want to fight for money. I just said how Erick Nicksick really hasn't trained any champions. He hasn't. So for him to say that, let's talk about all your homegrown fighters, brother, because I'm pretty sure you have a losing record when it comes to that in the UFC. With all your real homegrown, like bottom of the barrel fighters that you can't bring to that next level, right? All those guys. Right?
What's the gym called?
Extreme Couture.
That's right.
The other thing about the money, Dan Ige, who I've been very critical about, and this is going to come full circle, and this is why it's nice. When you tell the truth, it ages nicely. So hear me out here. Hear me out here. What did I say about Dan Ige? How that was a terrible decision, how he shouldn't have taken that fight on 3 hours notice, how he took it for money, right? How it wasn't about being a legend. He got a pay bump, you know, and all this other stuff, right?
Well, yeah, because he came in last minute and kind of helped save it.
Right, and who went ahead and credit him when he got put on the media shows? His head coach gets put up on the media. Hey, so tell me about... This is why I'm saying he's spineless, bro. Because Ariel propped him up again after that fight, and he says, Erick, tell me how this all played out. Oh my God. Dan Ige, that's so amazing. That's such a badass move. And what does Erick Nicksick say? Yeah, super badass about Ige. You know, he's built for it, man. He's built for it. That's not what a champion does. Like I told you, if my fighter did that, I would be fucking disappointed because we're chasing gold, right? That's the truth. This is why I'm so pissed off, because I said this about Dan Ige. I said he shouldn't have taken that fight if he really wants to be a world champion. That's not what a world champion does. And what happens? Everybody's praising him. Erick gets propped up on Ariel's show the next Monday, and he says all this stuff about how it was a good decision. Dan Ige took that fight for money and nothing else, okay? Now you turn around when Sean Strickland loses and you say you don't want to coach guys who just fight for money, who only want to be champions. When you just praised a guy who did the exact thing you don't want to do. And that's not the only one. Francis Ngannou never had a chance in boxing, right? Why did he fight in boxing? Because he wanted money. He never had a chance of being a champion in boxing.
Mm-hmm.
He did good against Tyson, yes. But in all reality, he didn't have a chance. And on top of that, if you really wanted Francis to do well, Erick Nicksick would have never been that fucking coach. But Erick Nicksick was in that fucking corner with his fresh-ass hairline surgery on fight night, right? For all that fucking money. For all that fucking money. Not for world titles. But now that Sean Strickland loses, right? And he thinks it's a representation of him. He wants to fight for titles and not for money. But he's done this fight with Francis for money and titles. Money, right? And he's done this thing for Ige for money, not for fucking titles, bro. So you're fucking spineless. And then you go and bash your guy Sean Strickland. But you keep going on all these shows, whatever the narrative is, you want to fucking be. You know, you got a podcast, brother. Like, what are you? Clout is a hell of a fucking drug, bro. I don't really hate too much that he goes on podcasts because I think it's cool to hear from coaches, right? But this guy, man, this fucking guy, man, you ain't no fucking real coach because you never even been in the octagon. If any fight, and let me say this, all the fighters who have talked about Sean Strickland, right? A lot of them are praising him too. There's been one, Dean Thomas, and actually Dean Thomas's interview with Ariel has been spun. You know, they're making it seem like Dean said Sean was never that guy. All Dean really said is Sean is past his prime and he's not that guy anymore. Way different. Way different.
When I think too, what he said on ESPN MMA.
Right, which I didn't see. So I'll admit I didn't see.
He kind of was like, oh.
But you know, he also said though, he's like, I give Sean advice. I walked up to him, gave him advice in the gym, and he didn't take it from me. He shut me down. So now you're gonna get criticism. So I can accept that. You know, he's keeping it real, saying what he wants to say, keeping it honest. I can respect honest people, even if you're harsh. Like I said, you had criticism for Sean. I said that's cool. But the way Erick Nicksick does it, bro, just following the tides of the narrative, because he doesn't want like what we're kind of talking about, Bear. Mm-hmm. And same kind of thing. I got a speculation too. The way that interview came off with Ariel and Erick, it's as if like Ariel and Erick had been texting, talking shit about Sean before this even happened. The way Ariel led right into it, as if like he knew Erick was disappointed in Sean, he just coached him right into it. Go replay that interview and tell me Ariel didn't just coast him right into what they had probably already been texting about. Because listen, I do interviews, right? I talk to fighters beforehand. So I know the vibe of when you first start off an interview, when you haven't been texting them gossiping. Because I don't text them and gossip and shit. I ask them straight up on here. You know, so that's what I'm saying, because I do interviews and I talk to them behind the scenes and then I have them on, and I'm telling you, the way Ariel did that, it came off like they had been texting and like Ariel knew exactly what he was going to say.
Yeah, see, I don't know if I'll go that far, but I mean, he definitely was frustrated with Sean, is frustrated with Sean. And yeah, but like I said, just don't air that dirty laundry. But no, I see where you're coming from, though. Yeah, it sounds like you've had this feeling about him before this fight anyway.
I've had the feeling about Erick Nicksick. The thing about Dan Ige, that just aged well, because like I remember what happened, and he's so disingenuous that it was so easy for me just to tie that together right then and there. But I've been saying about Erick Nicksick, when he got Coach of the Year and stuff, I'm like, Erick Nicksick he's not really like, what does he teach people? Like, Justin Gaethje's coach, Trevor Whitman, is a great boxing coach. People leave camps and go train with him because he's a great boxing coach. This guy, Erick Nicksick, isn't a fucking anything. I told you, the original coach passed away. He was 0-1, so he's not really a fighter himself, and that was Erick's mentor.
Mm-hmm.
So you got two kind of non-fighters, you know? And on top of that, Erick got boosted up because the guy passed away. Rest in peace. But that is what it is. That's way different than Kamaru Usman leaving Killcliff to go train with Trevor Whitman in Colorado.
If you were to talk to Sean during training camp prior to this fight, and you were to ask him, why is Erick your coach? What do you think he would have said?
It's the gym and it's the atmosphere he provides me.
Sean doesn't go. They were friends.
I don't think that Sean hits up Erick and is like, "Yo, how do I like throw this jab or counter this?"
Then why does he have him in his corner?
Because Erick is like, it's political, it's politics, right? Erick is the head coach at Extreme Couture. What can Sean do about that?
So if that's the coach at the gym you're going to, he's going to represent you when you go to the fight.
I mean, I guess so, especially if you want the clout. This is what happens in the MMA business as far as coaches too. You know, you think that coaches don't see fighters and be like, this is my ticket to fame?
Yeah, of course.
And what did this guy do? He started a fucking podcast.
Well, that's a whole nother, conversation. Like I like Sean O'Malley I think I told you before, is like, I wish a lot of these guys would stop the whole, like, I'm a podcaster, I'm an influencer. And I told you before, like, do you want to be a legend though? Like, how bad do you want to be a fucking legend in this sport? And I feel like a lot of these guys, like, and it is what it is. This is the day and age that we're in. So, like, so some guys are being able to do it and do both, but some guys are just locked in.
Yeah, and to that point, because you just brought up Sean, who's his head coach?
Sean O'Malley.
Yeah, who's Sean O'Malley's head coach? Former fighter.
And he has a podcast.
They got it together, yeah. But, former fighter. Something, so because you were saying, like, how many people have former fighter coaches. So there's a few. There's, like, Justin Gaethje's coach, I think, is a former fighter or something like that. I think, Sean O'Malley. I want to say a couple more things, though, because, I'm not going to let this shit slide. I'm not going to let this shit slide. Let's just make sure. Oh, right. So also, if you listen to Ariel's podcast, one quick thing, Nicksick goes ahead and says that, like, they thought that since Sean won the title against Izzy in Australia, that, like, since they're back in Australia, it was just meant to be. Shut the fuck up, bro. Meant to be. Nothing's meant to be. It's about your fucking skills. That's number one. Number two, he confirmed that Sean had staph. And then he wants to turn around and say, but his cardio was fine. Scientifically speaking, brother. Scientifically fucking speaking, brother. He was not fine. Because he said, but his cardio was good. It was fine. Okay, of course he's going to say it's fine. Of course he's going to be positive. He's got to fight. He's not going to bitch and moan and fucking cry about it. Of course he's going to tell you he's good. He's chilling. But for you to go out there and not fucking have his back when he fought with staph, broken nose, staph infection, antibiotics, and you got to talk all this shit because you're spineless, bro. Spineless, man. Stick by your guy. I don't even know Sean. I don't even care about his political values. But oh my God, bro. Like, to trash your fighter when a guy goes out there and breaks his nose, and Dana White was proud of him. Dana White credited Sean before he even credited Dricus.
No, I think it's one of the worst things you could do.
One of the worst fucking things you could do.
In anything, in any, that's like, you and me doing this podcast, right? And I don't know, something happens.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go and start talking about And I'm like, dude, like you could protect me. Like, bro, what the fuck, dog? Like, shit.
It's like
You could
behind
just, you could have
closed
just, yeah,
doors
you could have just told, you could have
conversations.
just talked to me about it and shit. You know what I mean?
100%.
And yeah, it's super out of pocket, bro. Like, you can't go back from that, bro. Like,
You can't go back from that.
I can't imagine.
Extremely shady.
Yeah, I can't imagine 6 months from now that he's still the coach for Sean Strickland.
Yeah, and you know what? Because we got
like today.
Yeah, and because
I'm going to the locker and grabbing all my shit. Like, dog, hey, thanks for everything. We're out. I'm out this bitch.
Okay, so let's go ahead, right?
Thank you, not thank you. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What does Sean do from here though? Because
you really want to know that answer.
Yeah, because in my eyes, him and Izzy are on this. They're in the plane right now, where they're going to probably be top 5, top 10 for the rest of their career until they end. And hopefully, we do not see Sean get knocked the fuck out by somebody. How we saw Izzy get knocked out, and then we're like, oh man.
Yeah. Okay, so what's next for Sean? I mean, I guess I mean I kind of agree with you. Like they are kind of falling off. Like they are right where you kind of assess them to be. Dricus says that it should be a rematch between the two of them. And since you think they're both kind of falling down, sliding down together.
I think give Izzy a chance to redeem himself.
Because Izzy gave him that opportunity, right, on short notice. I think Dricus couldn't take the fight.
And I'd watch that. You can hype that up.
I'd watch the shit out of that.
I'd watch the shit out of it too, because and then it's kind of like, and I still think this, like Sean's gonna become become an ultimate gatekeeper. If you can, like in the top 5, you can get past this style. Oh, you belong in the top 3. You belong in these next guys. If you can get past Izzy, you belong in this next discussion. Because I think that people have really learned how to fight their styles and defeat them, and evidently Dricus has kind of shown you the game plan and how to do it, bro. If Hamzat takes Sean down, it's over.
Kinda, yeah. And I mean, apparently, I saw old footage from the Schmo and Sean's interview from back in the day after Sean trained with Khamzat, and the Schmo revealed that Khamzat choked him out multiple times in grappling training.
Yeah, he's not. That's not, as we can see. He just wants to stand and bang.
But that fight's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. But the Izzy fight is something that I think is going to be really good. Like, here's another example. If Anthony Hernandez defeats Brandon Allen, and if he were to fight Izzy, I think he takes Izzy down and he submits him. I think if he were to fight Sean Strickland, he takes Sean Strickland down and he submits him.
Yeah, I mean, Sean Strickland can fight Brandon Allen. I would like that.
No, man. Anthony Hernandez is what I'm saying. If Anthony Hernandez beats Brendan Allen and Anthony Hernandez tries to get in the top 5 and he has to face either one of those, Anthony Hernandez will stand and beg, but he's smart enough to say, I'll take you to the ground, though.
Yeah.
These conversations...
Fluffy deserves one of them.
Yeah,
with the win over Brandon.
This conversation, though, is getting to a point, bro, where, like, all of these guys at the very, 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 very top, all are submission specialists. All are great on the ground. Alexander Pantoja can stand and bang with you, but he'll get you on the ground. We already know what Marab could do. He's a fucking Energizer bunny. Ilya's good on the ground. We already know what Islam can do. Bilal will take you down. DDP can take you down. Alex Pietto's the only one we haven't really seen test it, and we know what John Jones can do on the ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
And we just saw Wei Li saying Wei Li what she could do on the ground.
Yeah, but to your point, yeah, the guys who are one-dimensional, right? This is MMA at a certain point, right? And we're getting to that point where specialists are falling out. Like, you got to be, all the way around.
Yeah.
So, Dricus came in from kickboxing to MMA. And he's the one who takes down Sean. So look at it like that.
Yeah, and I was going to say this. Like, you asked before, like, why Sean gets so much hate. When someone says something that, like, makes you dislike them and then they lose, you're going to pile on.
And I can understand that. That's why I kind of call it out, saying, like, I think it's that, people aren't liking what he's saying and they're conflating it with the performance. And just to give it that other perspective, I'm like, you know, the performance to me is all I'm judging.
But when you talk so loud, like, oh, I'm gonna do this, your hate's gonna be even times 1,000.
Yeah.
Times 1,000. Especially when you like keep. If it would have been a closer fight, okay, if it would have been a 3-2 and he had the broke nose and it came down the draw, I would have been like, man, dog, fuck no, that motherfucker fucking like he left it all out there, but it wasn't that. It maybe was 4-1, maybe 4-1 before his broken nose.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of the narratives, like a lot of the stuff you're saying is fine. My biggest thing is just like, how do I say it? The part about saying, I just don't like Nicksick's comments. I'm even okay with Dean Thomas's comments.
Oh, and I'm 100% with you.
Yeah.
100%.
I think Sean deserves criticism, you know?
I think people are going to watch this podcast like, damn, do these dudes like each other?
Right. But I don't know. I feel like we had opposite takes to some degree, but we see it the same way.
We can't always fucking be like agreeing and shit. Imagine if we always agreed, bro.
That would be terrible. What were we? Yeah, you're right. Okay, so let me just second your opinion.
We're always on our knees and shit. Oh yeah, fucking 100% right.
Yeah, no, 100%. Okay. So.
And shout out to Toporia's older brother.
Shout out to Toporia's older brother. Actually,
you look good.
I guess we could talk about. We didn't really touch on Tatiana Weili.
Yeah. You know, I swung. I first had Weili. And then hearing people's opinions, I switched to Tatiana, and just her whole attitude. But Weili showed she's just at another level, bro. She beat her at her own game.
She did.
She really did.
My
hat's off to her.
Hats off to Weili.
In the beginning, I remember giving one of my first predictions. I was like, nah, bro, I'm not betting against Weili. There's no way. Nah, she's a fucking dog, bro. She's a fucking beast, and she proved that's what. She proved that's exactly what she is.
Now. Right, people are gonna get on me. People is the whatever the case, right? But let me say how I truly feel.
Okay.
And this is why I'm not a spineless motherfucker like some people, right? Because I say how I feel, and I know that the narrative is that Weili, wow, amazing, what a performance, unreal. What did I text you? Can't wait for this one to be over. Right? Am I the only one, or like why does Weili get so like, if any other even male fighter performs the way Weili did with just these takedowns and like, you know, with nothing really going on, like what really like come on, bro.
I can't wait for this one to be over.
What did she do? Rock her one time? Like, this ain't no world. Like, she's a great fighter. Don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm trying to say. But for everybody to be like, oh my God, like what a fight. Like, what a fight. Like, who's next for Weili?
Well, I think it's because
like she wasn't even challenged at all.
You know what? Because I think there was so much hype around Tatiana though. I think people were really building up Tatiana that she was gonna beat her. The odds even changed, bro. Like the odds Vegas had Tatiana beating her.
They did. Weili was the underdog.
And so I think then she showed that she dominated her, and so that I think that gave it that extra like. If everybody came in thinking Weili was going to dominate the way she did, what you just said would have been more like, yeah, we already knew that was going to happen. But the fact that the mindset changed and people kept boosting her, I think that's why.
Fair enough. I could see it if that's where they're coming from, meaning like they're surprised because she was the underdog. But I think that's a lot of credit to give an underdog for winning, because underdogs win all night long.
And they do, but and I just think that it's almost like what you say sometimes, where you have these fighters where they want to like boost them up already, right? And Tatiana's the next evolution of what they were trying to make her to become. You know, and that she was going to dominate on the ground and she was going to do this.
Yeah, but thank God she didn't win for perspective of the UFC and money wise, like, whew, dodged a bullet.
Well, yeah. And Weili just, you know, showed her dominance. I mean, she showed her dominance that she's just better than her, way better than her.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Weili.
And let me ask you this. if Weili moved up to fight Shevchenko, would you like that? Because I would love that.
I would like that, but let me say this.
Watch that.
I'd watch it, but okay, because Chael and I, we seem to agree sometimes, right? So I listened to DC's
The
podcast,
homie Chael?
The homie Chael.
Oh shit!
You know, because we are about the show business and the fight business and about stars. You know, a lot of these guys that we talk about who are like lower level and shit, they're nothing more than journeymen in boxing. You know, but because they're under the UFC banner, we give them a lot of credit because they got a lot of media here. Like I've talked about all these posts.
Like Kevin Holland.
Kevin Holland was like a guy who was, you know, on a good ascent, but he really fell off of it. I'm talking about guys like that guy Bill Algeo who just retired. If you saw that. Kind of a journeyman, bro. There's no legend, like, because I think a lot of fighters think that just because they fought in the UFC, their name will be remembered.
They made it. Yeah, they made it.
Yeah, their name will be remembered forever. And I'm sorry to tell you, but you will not be remembered. But that's a side note. What I was gonna say is that Chael said this about Weili, and I fully agree. That is on paper, you know, fighting the champ, and Weili is very good skill wise. I think that Weili needs to really, if you want to, you know, get people going, invested. You need to sell fights, tell people about stuff going on. Weili just sat there and let kind of Tatiana promote that fight, you know, and instead of kind of being out there and being like, you know, Tatiana's a beast, you know, and I'm going to go out here and I'm going to show you guys how good I am, things like this. She doesn't really do it. And just a side note, sorry, this is just a side note, but while I was watching that podcast, DC and Chael got asked by the producers of that show if Weili is the best fighter in the UFC, period. And that is a wild thing. Like, that is wild, dude. Why are we saying things like this? The best fighter in the UFC, period. Thank God. I was on my tippy toes, but thank God Chael and DC both were like, nah, she's not.
Yeah.
But the producers, to prop that shit up, I don't know what's going on. But anyway, Weili, she's got to promote herself more, bro. It's not about even another title fight. You can't even talk.
I mean, yeah, there's a huge language barrier there, and I think her personality isn't really built that way.
But it would be cool. It would be like a Clash of the Titans.
Yeah, no, I think that helps build your name. If she beats Shevchenko and she gets 2 titles, we're talking. Now we're talking. Now we're fucking, you know, cooking.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're cooking.
But let me give you another one.
And if she were to fight, who's the girl they're trying to prop up to? Is that the different division?
Kayla Harrison.
Yeah, that's another. That's even higher.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that might be too much for her. I don't think she can gain that much weight.
Yeah, but even so, you know, Weili, I guess her thing is, like, I think the reason why Dana loves her, and I can understand it, but you can't expect, like, American, like, I got to call a spade here. I think Weili just has a Chinese audience. Like, sure. There's no American fan base whatsoever, but she gets that pop from a Chinese audience.
She has respect. Is what she has. She
has respect amongst us, but the main supporters come from China, and I think that's why Dana gives her so much support, because that's a huge market for them.
Well, you keep winning, and you keep winning.
Right. But my thing is it's like, see, because I see from the business perspective, and it's like, because they choose to keep Weili, and she's very good, but there's the market and all this stuff, so that's why they don't really talk shit about her performances, because Dana's very, you know, Dana's outspoken. That performance Weili did, right? Dana would probably talk shit about that if Dricus did that. To some degree. But he's not gonna, because he's careful about, like, the business. And I don't have to support everything from their business, because that doesn't matter to me. I get to say what I want to say from a fan perspective. And so that's why I feel like I differ a lot, because a lot of the narratives Dana pushes is from a business perspective. It's about how it benefits his business. He may not be the biggest fan of Weili, but because there's a Chinese market, a Chinese fan base that they're trying to grow, he's not going to backlash her. And also the announcers aren't going to backlash her either, because it's the business of the UFC.
Well, and you're winning people they're putting in front of you. If she was losing, it'd be a whole different conversation.
Right, but I'm saying too, even guys who win, Dana doesn't always compliment. Dana doesn't compliment Bilal. He always wins. He doesn't say Bilal's a world beater, even though nobody can really beat him. That's what I'm trying to say. And all I'm trying to really say is, I know I disagree a lot to some degree, but it's good to have me, because you can't, DC can't disagree. He's a UFC employee. So right. I know that DC gives Weili credit on the broadcast, but that's because you got to factor in the Chinese market that they're trying to build. And I'm not dissing any Chinese people. I'm just saying you build markets all over the place, right? All around the world. And so you can't rely on the UFC employees all the time. Huh?
That's what I heard. I heard you don't like Chinese people. That's what I heard.
I'm Chinese, so there you go.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm Chinese. So how could I hate Chinese?
No, you're not.
I'm Chinese.
Like, swear.
What do you mean where? Swear?
Swear.
Swear, I promise.
I thought you like Hawaiian.
My mom's from Hawaii, and everybody from Hawaii is mixed. So like my mom's half white, and then she's like Hawaiian and Chinese and Portuguese, if you really want to know.
All right.
Yeah.
At least you can speak on it.
Yeah. So I'm good. I lucked out there.
He's like, I got a 10 Chinese in me, motherfucker.
Nah, but so that's my only thing, and that's really the women. That's the biggest take I can give is kind of a complaint, but it is what it is.
No, she's a great fighter though.
She's a good fighter. I wish I could see more though.
I said great. You said good. All right.
Yeah. Great fighter. I'm taking nothing away from her skills. I know she's dominant. I can't deny that.
I think you and here's the thing too. They're 115 pounds. You can only get so much explosion.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Curious to see though who's the next contender
It's
because
like,
they got nobody.
It's like when a Prius gets in an accident. Does it make a lot of noise? Not really.
Not really. It's like a douche.
Yeah. But if you got a Hummer, woo, watch out.
My boy Strickland be hitting like he's in a Prius though, doesn't he?
Oh, too soon. Too soon.
Sean Strickland. All right.
That's what Erick said. I heard that's what Erick said behind the scenes.
Yeah, and Erick was like, yeah, me and Sean need to have a conversation behind closed doors after airing out all the dirty laundry on Ariel's show. It's like, bro, good luck getting that closed door conversation.
That must have been I imagine that airplane ride home.
Yeah.
And like he wasn't even trying to help him with his broken nose. Like, motherfucker, go to hospital, dog.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
I'm curious to know how Erick handled that, like, the night, because, dude, if you're his coach, you're his boy, like, I would have thought that he would have supported him, be like, yo, hey, man, we could have got that motherfucker. This is my thing, a little bit, right? It's like, if I was his coach, I would have been with Strickland that night after the fight, like, yo, we could have got that motherfucker, man. Like, you hung in there. 5 rounds, broken nose, right? Like, you're chilling. And on top of that, you had staff and you still went out there. You fought to the best of your ability. Maybe you didn't show up, but there were circumstances and you still pushed through. You still get to feed your family, at the end of the day, and you fought for a world title. People don't even get these opportunities. So it's good to be grateful. But you can tell that he didn't even have that conversation because if he did, he couldn't have gone on Ariel's show and said what he said. So I'm really curious. He must have just been like, after that fight, he must have been like, hey, Sean, good job. I'm headed home. Like, they must have not really talked.
Yeah, I can see that.
Right?
I can see that.
Yeah, at all.
It happened with me and my dad one time. We went to Mexico together, and by the end of it, I didn't want to talk to his ass, and I took a different fucking, bro. Like he said,
that's what I'm imagining happened.
I sat in the back of the plane. Like I got my luggage. I didn't even go in the same taxi together. Fuck you.
I feel like Nicksick grabbed his bags probably sooner than Strickland, and he headed out of the locker room ASAP.
Oh yeah.
I guess the last topic of the day, unless you had anything else you want to talk about, and I don't have much to it, but I guess we'll just say the class action lawsuit. Fighters will now get their money. I guess they get awarded a decent lump sum, but people were saying the biggest thing now is the UFC fighters have to request their money from the UFC. And people are saying that there's active fighters on the roster and stuff like that, or even guys like Bisping. Like Bisping qualifies for this lawsuit, the money, right? But he's a UFC employee. And so he has to file for it with the UFC to get that money. And obviously people are kind of saying if he does that, then he's going to really hurt his opportunities as far as continuing to work for the promotion. So people were encouraging. There was a tweet that went out and it said like, any real media people who are attending UFC 312, I would encourage you to ask Dana White at the post-fight press conference the question about if he encourages his fighters to go and get that money. Because if Dana can co-sign it, then people like Bisping can feel comfortable applying.
See,
and nobody asked it.
Yeah, pretty soon what you're gonna have is like a UFC unions like they have in the NFL. The players union.
This is a step in that direction. If fighters can learn from this.
Yeah, it's gonna be like the MLB has it, soccer has it. NFL. There's these organizations have so much money, and UFC. See, and that kind of comes with the territory, right? As you grow and as you make money, these are the things that are gonna come with it. They have to just be ready for it. The fighters union's gonna happen. Someone's gonna eventually step up. Like in the NFL, bro, it's like it's an ex-NFL player. You know, like he represents the all these things, all the injured NFL players that have concussions and shit. You know what I mean? That are needed money, that need health things. They have all these things lined up for them, and it sucks that the UFC doesn't have that, bro. Like they're making too much money not to have it. They owe these guys.
So with that being said, though, they owe these guys, and they technically really do owe them. Literally, they literally owe them money. Now, right. I just said there's guys like Michael Bisping. Let's be real, right? Michael Bisping is a great example because Michael Bisping lost his eye for the promotion, right? He's not just any fighter; he's one that suffered the most. And while he still does to this day. If you watch his podcast, this guy has had like a neck surgery like every 6 months. Yeah. And he just had another one, and apparently it's not helping him. Like this guy is suffering as like daily, traveling for the UFC. I can't imagine like the neck pain. Regardless, people like him, it's not confirmed whether they can ask for that settlement from the UFC. What do you think about that? Because I get it. It's that gray area.
You don't want to bite the hand that's feeding you now.
Right. Unless Dana comes out and says it's cool.
But he opens the door.
But media has to ask that question, and nobody even had the balls at media day to ask it.
You know, I learned a great tool for media. I was going to share with you. Should I share with you here? Or do you want me to do it behind the scenes?
No, share it here. Share it here.
People are saying X. What would be your response to them? Where it's not, you're not asking. This is what people are asking.
Yeah.
How would you respond to them? I was like, oh, that's good.
Yeah. You hear that a lot where they'll be like, people are saying like Aljamain Sterling's fight wasn't that good. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, but how would you? And I forgot. I think it was an NFL reporter. That dude was like in the grill of an NFL coach that was about to get fired. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, they're saying that you're about to be fired, because of your lackluster performance on the field. How would you respond to them? And he like took it. He's like, well, this is how I respond to them, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, well, that's a perfect way to phrase a question.
Yeah.
Because that was not me asking.
So, right. And these
MMA guys take that from us. You got it from a Parry Punch fucking
because they're scared to ask Dana.
Give us credit.
So with that said, two things, right? And then we'll wrap this one up. If somebody has the balls, right, to ask that question, I feel like I can already hear the answer from Dana. Dana's going to be, yeah, they can apply for it.
Or
that's all he's going to say.
Oh, no, or you know what his other move is? I don't know anything about that.
Well, no, because this is so public.
No, but he's always, bro, they always ask him a question like, oh, I have no idea. Oh, he's
I hear you. Like, Lene, how much are they getting paid out? Yeah.
DDR, I think so they just signed so-and-so. Oh, they did? We just signed him? I don't know. Like, how the fuck do you not know you're getting fucking signed your own organization, motherfucker?
Because, my thing is this. I think that if Dana gets asked that question, there's two ways he could go about it. I think Dana could be genuine and be like, look, fighters, it is what it is. We lost the lawsuit. If you want the money, you can have the money. It is what it is. Nothing will happen. But I feel like even if Dana gets asked that question, he won't give that closure. He's still going to keep it up in the mystery of like, should Bisping apply for it or not? Should he bite the hand that feeds him or not? And I'm saying it would be cool if Dana gave it that cosign and gave these guys the closure and said, hey, look, all good. Collect your money. We lost. We owe you. Thank
you for everything you've done for us.
Thanks for what you've done.
Right.
I feel like Dana should do that. I really feel like Dana should do that.
Dude. 100%.
Right. And
100%.
But this is why it's important that we have this podcast, right? And that people speak on an unbiased level, because the truth be told, Bisping can't say this for himself.
Right.
Right? DC can't say this for himself.
Yeah. Company man.
Can't fault them because they're getting paid. Nina can't say this. And that's why, we are unique. That's why we are needed. And Nina can get replaced. Dana White can prop up any other social media celebrity. I'll tell you what, if Dana White gave me that ticket, right, my numbers would be going up. Mm-hmm. I could replace Nina just like that. All you need is the access.
Well, you're kind of missing a few things.
I guess I'm missing my notebook with all the pre-written questions in the tits.
Yeah, missing a lot of things, bro. You're missing a cute face, the fucking,
please. We don't need a cute face. You see some of these journalists? Look at Ariel.
Oh, no.
You don't need a cute face.
I think some of these journalists need to hit the gym.
Yeah, bro. Come on now. What you think the viewers are like? Oh my god, this guy's sexy. I'm gonna listen to him.
Need to go on a fucking cardio diet, homie. Like, dog, what are we doing with our lives?
We should normalize that, right? Like, since you cover MMA, like, don't you kind of want to be like shredded like these guys? I feel like I do.
Like, have you ever been to the gym though? Like, not you. I'm just saying.
Like John Morgan and shit.
Like ever. Like, I feel like a lot of them are just like, what word do I want to use? Computer warriors.
They're just locked in on that computer.
Locked in on that computer. Red Bull, fucking coffee, fucking like, bro, just looking like, dog, have a little bit more self-respect for yourself, dog.
We should normalize that. We should kind of find some type of way, normalized MMA
this is what I'm gonna tell you. You know what I realized too? You know what I realized too?
What?
And I'm gonna say you and me. I forgot. What kind of sport did you play in high school?
Wrestling.
We're both competitive.
Yeah.
I'm hyper competitive, bro. I don't give a fuck what it is.
Right.
Dominoes, poker, basketball, fucking talking shit, fucking betting, picking fights. Like, I don't give a fuck what it is. That's what I noticed, that we're different from a lot of people in this world. Like, they're not competitive, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm just super competitive, but whatever the fuck it is, I want to win.
I feel you.
And I'm gonna talk shit.
Or I mean, I feel like there's a weird competitiveness that I get from other media guys, which is like like it's like factual, like it's like very like numbers based, like they're very
what aspect?
Like instead of being like competitive, like
bitches,
like no, not like bitches, like
grabbing numbers in the DMs.
No, more so like, okay, I'm kind of talking about like how we can debate, right? We can like debate a topic. And I feel like with some of the other guys, they have like just like numbers that they go off of. They don't really have like, like real like they don't got, okay, bravado. I guess you could say like,
no swag.
We got bravado, right? We can talk.
No swag.
We could elaborate our thoughts. We can like mix it up.
Bro, I can
some of the other guys only rely on like numbers and like who beat who.
I can run into a bar right now and I guarantee I'm gonna leave that motherfucker with 10 friends.
There you go.
10 homies like, what's up, Playboy? Hey, you watch UFC? Come on, now let's go, homie.
That's
call all the homies up and shit. Now, but with the numbers things, what I've noticed in like some of the spaces, people are really good. Like, okay, yeah, he has X amount of percentage of takedowns, and he did this in his last.
They pride themselves on like being hardcore.
Right. Which I get that. That's another level to it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Or a layer is a good word. That's a layer to this,
right?
You know? And you should pride yourselves in knowing those type of things. And a lot of times when I hear people talk like that, it actually improves me. Like, oh shit, I didn't know that. All right, I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take that little stat you just said because it's fucking public information. And I'm gonna use that too. Thank you.
Right, but then you got to use that, right, and then do what we do. You got to bring your own, like, okay, now tell me what you really think with that. You know what I mean? So we got that. Now you got to tell us what you really think.
You can't
give it some free game.
Monotone like Crazy Kev. Hey guys, this is Crazy Kev.
What happened to him? I saw somebody was talking shit.
Who knows, bro?
You didn't see that though, or did you? You texted it to me. I think
it's every other day, bro. With that motherfucker, dog.
The manager or some shit again.
Yeah, no, he was. Oh yeah, he was arguing with Daniel Rubenstein.
Yeah, he was. I want to have a working relationship with you. What's the importance?
Like, Daniel Rubenstein's like, bro, get the fuck out of here, dog. Like.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Can you tell me what the importance would be of announcing fights? Like I said, I knew Wonder Boy Buckley was booked weeks ahead. I don't give a fuck to announce it. I got my own media page and everything.
Clout's a hell of a drug.
The likes?
Clout is a hell of a drug.
I guess so.
I announced it first, motherfucker. I know the business. I'm an insider, homie.
Yeah, I
know all the fights that are about to happen.
It's like getting that credit on the MMA Junkie article.
You have to, bro. It's a clout, bro. It's like it's like, oh my god, look what I did.
Yeah, I guess it's grown that guy's name a little bit.
It's crazy. And I'll say this on him. What he does, there's a hustle to it. It's like a tweaker who fucking goes all day looking for fucking plastic cans. That's a hustle.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard work. I don't want to go grab a million fucking cans, dog.
Right.
I don't. You go do it. Go.
I agree.
Look at all the little messages and all the little things. Wake up and look at Twitter. And
too much work.
Bro, that's a lot of work, and I respect it for what you're doing because I know it's not easy.
Yeah.
But you burning other motherfuckers' name, you throwing people under the bus, nah.
Fuck out of here. Do it the right way.
Fuck, do it the right way.
Hey, I actually forgot about this topic, but worth asking you about. What ended on this one? Huh? Oh shit, we didn't even touch on that, but I feel like this might be even crazier. Buckley Vittori, did you hear the story? Buckley showed up to Vittori's gym at Extreme Couture like in 2023 before a fight. He was training right before the fight, and Vittori called him out to spar, and Buckley said, "Nah, like I got to fight this Saturday. Like I'm cutting weight right now. I'm not trying to spar middleweight. I'm fighting at 170." Right. And at the end of the practice, when they huddled up to do a break, Vittori says, "All right, Buckley's a bitch on 3. 1, 2, 3."
Oh, that's fucked up.
And then nobody said it, and then they said, "Nah, just like ended on Extreme Couture or something like that." And so they did that, but Buckley never said shit about it. Now fast forward, right? You got Buckley calling out McGregor for using the N-word on Khabib, and then Vittori dropping that in his comments. So Buckley kind of told that whole backstory, and now Buckley wants to spar his ass at the UFC PI.
Bro, like even every time I even look at what he said, like what Buckley said, like there ain't no passes for these motherfuckers, bro. Mm-hmm. And oh my God, dude, like I caught myself the other day arguing with some fucking white nationalists and shit. What did he say? How did he say it? I could go back and read the tweet, but basically like, well, if they can say it to each other, I can say it too. I'm like, bro, get the fuck out of here, dog.
Yeah, what the hell does that mean?
Don't get me started, bro.
Yeah, fair enough. Actually, I'm curious. The next time I talk to Joaquin, I got to ask him. Because in his video, he said, he was like, you got like Mike Parry and Nate Diaz saying it too. And they're getting away with it. And a lot of people say like they're from, or at least they say Nate is Mexican and from the hood, so that's chill. But then Mike Parry, like I guess, is technically black. But I guess Joaquin isn't really cool with that either, which is interesting.
So and it's interesting too because like look at West Coast radio, I interview a lot of rappers and shit. Mm-hmm. Like we're definitely in the streets and shit. And Mexicans using the N-word in rap songs, just in everyday culture, right? It's become super normalized, especially on the streets. Like I was talking to an OG about it and shit, and I was just like, I have a problem saying it. Like, have I said it before? Yeah, but with the homies, like, and they're the black homies that I've just known for so long, but I'm not overextending it, right? You know what I mean? Like it's like it was, like a what's up almost,
Yeah.
And that's it. Not continuously saying it.
Is it just me, or was it like less bad like 15 years ago before social media was really around?
I've always thought it was kind of like, nah, it's kind of a little out of pocket and shit. Especially like if you're not if that's not your circle, out of pocket.
Like because you see Cody or you probably haven't seen it, but I'll just say Cody Garbrandt tweets resurfaced from him when he was like in high school or some shit saying it.
What's up, my ninja?
Yeah,
I mean, see, here's the thing. Like
people used to say it before social media was popular.
I forgot there was a movie with the white dude, like he was like a black dude, white dude, and people you would hear someone say like, "Bro, come on, dog, like, nah, you can't be talking like that." But look at some circles are different from other circles, right? That's like, and it's interesting too. A lot like with the Kendrick Lamar and Serena Williams, crip walking and shit.
Oh yeah, that's another one I got to ask you about.
So like a lot of people from the outside looking in look at it like, oh, she's glorifying gangbanging. A lot of people that are part of the culture, like, nah, that's part of the culture. That's just how we dance. That's super normalized where we're from. She can do that. She's from Compton. She knows Kendrick. People, if I'm walking up to fucking Compton with some bloods where YG and fucking Slim 400 is from Treetop, Parry, and I start crib dancing, bro, there's gonna be a problem, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a place and time for everything. Using the N-word, I can't go up into I can't go walk up to Joaquin, don't even know the man. Oh, what's up, Ninja?
No, but that's kind of what Marvin did.
But hell, that's out of, but see now social media, people could be like, I could say it with no repercussions though.
Yes.
We can do fly to me. Joaquin, we're like, bro, I'm gonna see you one day.
I'll see you at the PI.
Yeah, don't get it twisted. I'm gonna see you eventually. We're in the same realm. Mm-hmm. It's like me talking with somebody like that we go to like a media day and shit. Like, I'm gonna see you eventually, though, bro.
Yeah, bro, we need a black guy on here to discuss it further because I feel like I got a question. I'm still gonna ask you it, but like you're the wrong guy to ask. But this is my thoughts a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Because guys like Joaquin said guys like or Mike Parry and Nate Diaz have got away with saying it, and then you got John Jones kind of like being like, yeah, Mike Perry's the realest like N-word like I ever seen. I wonder how like how Joaquin sees that, number one, and if like other people from that community are kind of like, hey John, don't be doing that, don't be like furthering that shit.
You're gonna have two sides of the spectrum, right? Because like I can tell you right now, bro, I can talk to a lot of black youngsters right now in the neighborhood out here gangbanging with their Mexican homies, and they're all saying it.
Yeah,
it's in all the Mexican songs and rap songs right now.
That's why I feel like people think it's cool for Nate Diaz to say it because they assume he's from that area too.
Right, but you can't be out in like for me, for Nate Diaz personally, as a fighter, you can't. You're not in that real world, right? Like that.
Like when you're doing media, don't be using that. Only do that when you're in the hood. Now,
it's crazy because like I got white homeboys too and shit, bro. Like all their friends are black, right?
And they say it.
Like even like the one white player on the football team. He probably says it with all them, right?
Maybe.
Because
I don't know.
But most likely because they brought him in, they've been around it so much, right? They're right in it. But that white dude couldn't go to another fucking like group of black homies and shit and say it. They'd be like,
yeah, he doesn't have the pass worldwide, like anywhere he goes.
He doesn't. That's a good one. He doesn't have the pass worldwide.
Yeah.
Doesn't, like the crip walking shit. Like Serena got a stamp certified pass. She can do whatever the fuck she wants. She's part of the culture.
Yeah.
She's from Compton. Kendrick's the homie. You know what I mean? Like it's completely different.
That is different.
Even if Taylor Swift did it, it wouldn't be a big deal.
Why? She's not from there.
Because it's super commercialized now. Bro, you got people on American AMT, American Got Talent. Jubawaki's fucking doing it. You got TikTok dancers doing it.
I mean TikTok all over.
You got actual dancers that teach dance classes how to crip walk.
But best believe if Taylor Swift went to the hood and did that,
but getting her ass beat. People would laugh at it though. You know what I mean? Because it's different because if you from another set and you go do it to another neighborhood, now it's personal. You're doing this as you're trying to actually attack me.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And so like it's like an unwritten language. Like if I'm gonna walk to someone else's neighborhood and I'm gonna do anything disrespectful, well, just go into another person's neighborhood. That's -0 right there. Just start it off right there, -0.
There you go.
But if you're like some superstar, bro, and you did it, no, it's not, because it's not that serious.
Well, what were you saying? You just said that people can't go over there and do that.
Yeah, it's like me. Like I couldn't go over there to like the neighborhood, like, because like they don't look at me like I'm part of the culture though. I might go over there with a San Diego hat, I'm gonna probably get fucked up.
But you think like, okay, because when Justin Bieber went over to the hood or something like that, that's what you're saying?
Well, yeah, bro, they got all kinds of cameras. People know that there's something going on.
Oh, I guess so.
You know what I mean? Like that's more like, oh, look, you know, you see, oh wow, there's a huge group of people. You probably got security everywhere and shit. You know?
They'll just be happy to see a famous person.
Yeah, that's a whole different thing. And you watch some of the no jumper shit. You know what I mean? Like Adam 22 can do a lot inside that studio.
Of course. Well, they like him.
Well, they want the numbers. They want the clout.
Yeah.
But let him go to a neighborhood by himself and do some shit that he does.
Well, I guess they're gonna still maybe like it because the Taylor Swift effect.
To an extent, right?
Yeah.
To an extent.
But
some real ones, like some dude that just got out of prison and shit. Oh hell no, bro! I don't give a fuck who you are.
Yeah. Fair
anyway,
enough.
we get some street shit now.
All good. That was a good podcast. Hey, shout out to Jared Cannonier, RoboCop.
No, RoboCop's gonna go. Bah.
We'll see.
Why, who do you got?
No, I don't know. I'm gonna watch the fights.
All right.
You know, it's an Apex card. It ain't nothing too special.
Hold on. And Bonfim is fighting fucking Terrence Chaos Williams.
Chaos Williams, that's right.
So we're about to see it.
I'm riding with Chaos. You're riding with Bonfim. Everybody can know.
All right. Cause hey, let's put 5 on it.
5 on it. A little $5.
Little $5, a little beer.
All right, little $5. Yeah.
Right,
a little Corona at the bar.
All right.
His other brother's fighting too. Both Bonfim brothers are fighting.
Yes, and I think about the Gabriel Bonfim should be bumped up. They got the
wrong Bonfim up there.
Yeah, that's my opinion.
Yeah, Chaos is good, so we'll see. They're both pretty good.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good one.